Welcome to the Two Opinionated Brothers podcast with Smart Jarvis and Big Sam. This podcast, opinions, and views are simply those of the two opinionated brothers. So don't trip.
Big Sam, how you doing?
Man, I tell you what, I'm great, Jarvis.
Why you so great today, Doc?
Feel good, man. It's Easter week, Passion Week. You know, do you believe in Christ?
Wow.
It's Passion Week. I'm
Are you
asking.
serious?
You didn't know it was Passion
That's
Week?
how we're gonna start the show out.
Did you know it was
With that type
Passion
of
Week?
disrespect. Obviously, I knew that.
Well,
That's insulting.
most Christians around the world would be excited. It's Passion Week. We're leading up to Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Those are reasons to be happy. I don't know.
You gotta be kidding me, man. Lachey B, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you all?
I'm doing okay, man. I'd like to apologize to the listeners right off the bat for that foolishness. We're here to talk about some serious stuff, man, and you playing games. I need to start right off the top. Lachey B, what in the hell was going on in Athens? Was it last week at the school?
It was.
Because that's your neck of the woods. I mean, I got people in Athens, but I don't be in those streets like you be in those streets. So what was going on down there at the school?
So it's a lot to tackle.
Okay.
But reportedly they have a new principal who's been there for maybe a month, and he's implemented some rules. And
is this an African-American principal or a Caucasian principal?
No, it's a Caucasian principal. And some of the rules he initiated are really harsh, and he handed down some punishments to...
What's some examples?
Well, again, this is not... I don't want to say I have all the facts,
Okay.
but he expelled 3 students for 20 days and told them that they couldn't attend prom as well as graduation. They're seniors.
That's tough.
And apparently the whatever disciplinary action he decided to take, it wasn't warranted for what the kids did. I don't know all the details with that.
We don't know what they did, though, right? 'Cause they wouldn't
No,
release
we
that.
don't. So the parents went up there to and initially,
Confront the principal?
well, initially they called the school board,
Okay.
and they did everything the right way. So how it's been reported is one of the parents got into a shouting match and stepped out
With another...
with the principal.
With the principal.
With the principal.
Okay.
Initially, the parents handled it the right way.
Okay.
Again, it's a lot of factors to this.
Yeah.
So, and at the time that this all happened with the parent, the singers were during they had a break, so to speak, to where they're all in the hallways and different things like that. So when all this happened, it's alleged the parents wanted to start a riot of some sort, with the calling the kids out, alleged. And there was one officer there.
Yeah.
And then that's what sparked everything that we saw on social media.
Yeah.
The NAACP and Athens have gotten involved.
Really?
And there was a forum yesterday at the Boys and Girls Club to kind of help with community relations.
Yeah.
And from the pictures, only about 20 people showed up. So it's something ongoing. And people are saying it's racist.
Yeah.
It's what's
Okay.
behind it in a nutshell.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know all the information about it. I guess everything that I was seeing was just kind of hearsay from people around there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, parents or relatives of people that went there. But the video was very disturbing.
It was.
And I was interested. I brought this up because I wanted to know, Sam, what you thought about it, because a lot of people were upset with the police officer and how he handled the situation. And so I was curious to see what you thought about it.
Well, yeah.
You're familiar with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen
you
it,
claim
I've
to
seen it.
keep up with current events,
I do.
but I don't
I do.
necessarily believe that.
Well,
Doubt your
I
veracity.
guess I'm trying to discover what's the big deal. What happened? A parent got unruly.
Yeah.
Tried to incite riot. Was squashed. Order was brought back. Order was brought out of chaos.
I think the
school continues.
The
What's
big
the
thing, when the officer was trying to intervene and stop everything, he apparently hurt some students who weren't involved.
Yeah, I saw him batting somebody away.
Yeah.
But he's one guy. I mean, just with it's a lot of factors to this to the story.
And that's why, because I saw a lot of people, obviously, and because of the state that we're in,
right.
Everyone automatically, I think, wants to jump on the police officer.
So you're supporting the cop, Jarvis?
Well, let me say this. And I'm very sensitive to African American and brown people, how they're treated by police officers throughout this country, because there's been a lot of improper encounters. But when I looked at the video, I was trying to, and what I always try to do is put myself in the situation, in the position of the individual. And I'm like, it's one cop. He's surrounded by people that are yelling at him. Obviously, they're not friendly towards him for a multitude of reasons. And so I'm like, I don't know what exactly we can expect him to do in that situation. I don't know how he could have acted differently other than just throw his hands up and walk off and not do his job, which he would have gotten in trouble on the other side for that. So, man, I don't know, man.
It's but see, I can't help but think back to previous podcasts where the teacher punched the kid in the classroom, and Jarvis, at the time it was Smart Jarvis.
It's still Smart Jarvis.
Told us, the kid was unruly. The teacher can only be expected to take so much.
I believe that. I believe that.
So but that same applies for the cop in this situation.
No, that's why I said, man. Yeah. I don't know what he could have done differently.
Well, it sounds like to me Jarvis is saying the cop acted appropriately.
And the police department, they're standing behind. Of course, they're standing behind him.
So is the school system.
That's of course. Yeah,
and they did allow they're gonna let the kids graduate. And it was the superintendent said that the punishment was too severe.
Yeah.
So
did they so it looks like we had multiple people that made mistakes here. Adults that made mistakes here. The principal made a mistake because he acted too harshly. The parent or parents, once they tried to handle it peacefully, and if they couldn't come to a resolution, they should have left and went through another avenue as opposed to getting into a shouting match. And then I guess there were some students that were kind of jumping in and getting involved when they should have just, and as hard as it is, because, if you think your friend is getting treated unfairly or arrested unjustly or whatever, you want to intervene, but you kind of in those situations need to just step back, go ahead and let the officer arrest them, and then fight it on the other end, as opposed to jumping in. I was nervous watching the video that someone was going to get hurt more severely than they did. When I started seeing other kids surrounding him, I was like, I hope this guy doesn't go to the extreme.
In my
and
opinion,
he
handled it the best way he
could.
I
think a lot of officers may have pulled their
as
weapon.
well as his mace, and he didn't use any of that taser, right?
Yeah, so I was actually happy that it did not escalate a lot worse than it did. So are you happy, Sam? Because I know
kudos to the Athens Police Department, man. It's very sensitive situations. It's a very sensitive time. We've got teachers dealing with unruly students. We've got students dealing with unruly teachers, and the bus driver. The bus driver tried to kidnap the kids last night. They say allegedly.
He just went there.
So stuff is. What I'm saying is,
what is that? What was that about?
Well, it's I want to say terrible, but it's a unique time to be an instructor dealing with young kids at this point. So, we don't want chaos in our schools.
I agree. Who tried to kidnap kids? What was this?
Apparently, some of your ancestors, I don't want to call them ancestors, your future generations, whatever you call them. From from North Side, right? Live on the North Side?
I do.
Do you live on the North Side?
I do live on the North Side.
Well, this happened on the North Side.
Okay.
So some kids from the North Side.
Okay.
And I'm not stereotyping. I'm just saying where the incident happened.
That's fine. I don't have
it. Sparkman and Pulaski.
Got unruly.
Okay.
And the bus driver informed him that he was taking them to his house to whoop them or to be punished. So he drove.
How old were these kids, man?
Not my issue.
Please, somebody tell me how old these kids were.
Okay, I read.
This is hilarious.
That's what I heard.
I didn't know about this.
Because you don't keep up with current events.
I do, but
I didn't hear anything. I read it. There was
take them home and whoop them.
The kids were causing an issue, and he pulled to the side, and the parent allegedly called for backup, and then there was video recording of the younger students, like elementary kids, saying that he said that he was going to kidnap them.
He said they needed to be punished. They needed to be punished, and he was taking them to his house to administer the punishment.
So what happened? What happened to the bus driver?
Well, the kids,
is he
of
still
course,
driving?
it's
still open.
He's been suspended.
It's an active investigation.
Everybody's released a statement. Everybody's released a statement.
I missed this?
He needs an award.
Huntsville City Schools.
I missed this?
Well, because you don't keep up with current events, man.
I keep
Clearly,
up with a lot of current.
clearly, you didn't even know it's Passion Week, man.
Yeah. I know you're such a great Christian, and you
I
carry yourself
strive.
appropriately.
I was listen on the way.
I know you're upset. So since you're such a great Christian, I know you're upset about the Notre Dame Cathedral catching fire.
Yeah, you know what? My first, any historical, and then going back to previous, podcasts, we talked about historical articles and things like that. You don't want to see anything destroyed. I'm
What
glad
about those
that it
three
wasn't
black
terrorism.
churches that have been burnt down?
Yeah, and they caught the person that did it. Right?
I know. Did they send any money? We got a lot of donations for Notre
Did
Dame
I
Cathedral.
send any money?
Yeah, you. You're a Christian, right? You're a Christian, and you certainly don't believe in God's house being vandalized or
Don't, man.
any type of. So, did you send any type of donation? Did you send a donation to
Well,
the
in
Notre
all
Dame
fairness,
Cathedral?
I hadn't sent any money anywhere.
Not yet.
Don't have much.
Do you plan on sending it?
I don't have much, man. It's tax week. Not only is it Passion Week, but it's tax week. Monday was the last day for taxes.
Surely you've done your taxes before Monday. You didn't wait till the last minute, right?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does
legally.
matter because there's not a lot of reasons why you would need to wait until the last minute to file your taxes
I did.
unless something was not on the up and up. That's certainly not what you're.
Well, that being said,
Okay,
this was the last week for taxes.
Okay,
to
I
be
don't want to
done.
get
So
you in
the
trouble.
Majority of Americans, even though I read somewhere that H&R Block reported that almost 70% of its customers this year paid about $1,200 less in taxes.
Well, that's good.
Still, the majority of Americans, thanks to the Trump tax cuts.
Speaking of Trump, I'm
You always
curious
bring
to
him up.
see what you guys think about. He tweeted out, "We're gonna apparently, as a country, pledge money to help with Notre Dame,
Yeah.
and you still have Flint,
And he also,
as well as Puerto Rico.
and Alabama's getting some money. I read.
Yeah. Sure did. Yeah,
Alabama's
sure
getting
did.
some money
Yeah.
as well. Yeah,
Alabama is in the United States. What we're concerned about is sending money abroad
for other countries. Yeah,
when we have issues at home that we need to.
I
Attend to.
agree. I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I say let's pull all our foreign money in. Yeah. Why not? Let's pull all foreign
America
aid
first. You're
in.
America first.
Pull all foreign aid in. I'm gonna take what you're saying and go a step further, man. Pull all foreign
I
money
wouldn't
in, man.
suggest that we.
Just
pull all
Notre
foreign
Dame.
aid.
Just know the money to Notre Dame.
Well, foreign aid meaning to individuals that are destitute, that don't have clean drinking water, that don't have food, that don't have facilities to to take care of the ill. Those are legitimate reasons for foreign aid. But to rebuild a cathedral, I think that we could spend that money a little better here in the U.S. You don't.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know how much money it'll. I don't see why America would have to send money
I don't think they have to send
for
the money.
that.
He's
How much
choosing to
money?
send
How
the
much money could the building
He chooses to
cost?
spend the money because he says he's a great Christian.
Is he a great Christian?
That's what he says.
It is Passion Week, man. I'm glad it wasn't terrorism. At first I was a little nervous. Man. You mentioned the 3 black churches had been burnt, and now here we go in Notre Dame. And I know, how do you pronounce it? That's not a.
Well, you're a great
Notre
Christian.
Dame.
I'm
not Catholic. I'm not Catholic.
But
Yeah.
you're a great Christian. You should know.
And I'm not Catholic, so I don't. And nor do I live in France.
You've never been to France?
Never. Okay. Yeah. In fact, I very seldom get out of Alabama. If you just want to be honest.
Anyway, man.
I just want to be honest.
I want to talk about Joe Biden because I'm glad Lachey's here so we can get a female perspective. So it's been about 3 or 4 women.
3 or
that
4.
I think it's 3 or 4.
It's way more than 3 or 4. In fact, I saw an internet collage where it was like,
Okay.
Well,
men, women, dogs, cats.
yeah. What I'm saying
that.
is there's been 3 or 4 that have come out publicly and said that they were made uncomfortable by him touching them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a collage where he touches everybody, quote unquote, inappropriately. Here's my question to you, Lachey. And I'm not debating, the truthfulness of them stating that they felt uncomfortable. But as far as I know, all of them have said that they didn't think it was any type of sexual misconduct, that he was trying to be sexual with them. He just invaded their privacy, and he does the same thing with guys. So what I'm saying is, if they didn't think it was anything, sexual in nature, why couldn't they just reach out to him privately and say, hey, you know what? Now, I could see in the moment, this is the vice president of the United States. You're not going to tell him, get your hand off me or something like that. And you're young in your political career, so maybe back then, because these are 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to make a fuss then. But now, right? He's years later. Why couldn't they just call him or send in write a letter and say, hey, back then at such and such event, you kind of made me uncomfortable with that. I know you didn't mean anything by it. You made me uncomfortable, and maybe going forward, you want to look at changing your conduct as opposed to, because even once you say that he made you uncomfortable, even if you come and say, yeah, I know he didn't mean anything sexual, the damage is kind of done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you've damaged his reputation going forward. So I don't know why that was necessary to do that.
I never want to discredit a woman from saying, if they've been sexually assaulted or whatever.
Right.
I would never want to discredit that.
Right.
And I can just speak from personal experiences from myself as well as friends. A lot of times you get that invasion of privacy or a man saying something inappropriate, but a lot of you just brush it off because it happens so often.
Right.
Now, saying that, why is it just now being said?
That's what's concerning to me.
So I'm not discrediting them, but I don't. It's not a big fuss for me if I choose to. If I would vote for him, that wouldn't stop me from voting for him.
Right.
And
I
that's just
just don't
my
understand.
opinion.
Well, there's a precedent. There's a precedent for this.
What's that?
When the honorable Judge Roy Moore, was running for Senate, right? And
what Joe Biden?
I was gonna say that's a big difference now.
There's a major
But we're
difference,
talking
dude.
about the timing.
Major difference.
We're talking about timing.
For sure.
The question is about timing, right? The question is why now? And what I'm saying is
that was one of the questions was timing.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm addressing timing.
My original question was, why can't we? Why it seems like we've gone to this point in society where we've got to put everything on blast. We can't just have a conversation with someone and say,
politics.
"Hey, you offended me," or "Hey, I didn't like how you did that." We've got to go and go public with it and blast it all over the airways, and then everyone starts forming their opinion about it, and then it gets totally out of control. Like you said, there's a collage of him touching men like that. Are we suggesting that he was assaulting those men?
He's just an old horn dog.
Well, I don't even know if that's the case. I think he's just an old school guy that's a touchy-feely guy that touches people. What I'm saying is when I talk to people, sometimes I might touch them on the shoulder, like, where you
kiss them on the head and caress their hair.
Well, no, I don't do that.
That's what he did.
That's what he did. That is kind of.
Maybe he's pushing 70.
He's a lot older than me.
Something 73. He'd be one of the oldest presidents ever if elected. So maybe back in the day that was appropriate. 2019, you can't do that anymore. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, this precedent has been set that when it is politically convenient to bring these issues out, they're brought to the forefront. Now, does that discredit them? We can't say it discredits it here, but it didn't discredit it there. If that happened 40 years ago, then this been happening for 40 years. We've got to give it the same, attention and focus. And so I asked you guys. Now, that's interesting. You said what he did would not sway your vote, right?
Yeah. What's being reported that he did? No. If he was just
because he apologized.
No.
Or you just didn't see it as offensive?
Well, he apologized and then he made some jokes about it. He touched some kid and he was like, the kid gave me permission, and everybody laughed that was in there. But then he got in trouble again because one of the ladies was like, clearly he doesn't see the seriousness.
Well, you don't see it.
We're also just sensitive to
nobody sees
to everything.
Well, I see where someone could be made uncomfortable. I just don't see why she couldn't just have a private conversation with him and say, "Hey, man, you may want to change that." I mean, he was. I don't know, man. I don't know, and I don't want to get in trouble again because the last time we were in here, Lachey B accused me of taking R. Kelly's side.
Is that what happened?
I think you did. And I was I lost a little bit of sleep over that. So I don't want to get in trouble. Huh?
Nothing.
Okay. I don't want to get in trouble for that. Do you watch golf, Sam?
I do, man. I got a chance to watch some this weekend.
So you saw the Tiger Woods thing?
I saw it firsthand. I watched Saturday and Sunday. So
I don't care about golf personally. I really don't even care about Tiger Woods. But here's my question. It's funny to me how, when Tiger Woods first came out, a long time ago, all the black people were supporting him. Then he went on Oprah and said he wasn't black, he was Caucasian or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I
Which
guess
he is.
he is, but he's black.
Yeah, he's black
right?
too.
I mean,
Yeah, we
Barack
get
Obama
it.
is black and white, but he's black. He's
Yeah.
treated as black. You know, they don't call
Yeah.
him white; they call him black. On his identification, I'm sure it says black. And so he lost support, and then
Lost
he-
support from who?
he lost some support from the black community because
Okay.
they said, you know, hey, he doesn't even identify with them. Because that turned me off. Because
Okay.
I'm like, dude, you is there something wrong with you being black? I mean, that's what's on your identification. And then he had this incident where he cheated on his wife, and I actually thought he got a raw deal from that. And what I mean by that is, cheating is bad, you know, to the person that you're cheating on. But that's really none of our business to be judging people. You know, we play this moral police thing in this country and in society in general, where somebody cheats and then we talk, oh, that's not our business. That's
Right.
between him and his wife and his kids to sort out and do that. So I thought he got a raw deal from all the backlash he was getting on that because that was none of our business. It's a lot of people out here cheating. It's just they're not famous and they're not in the limelight. But then now he comes back and they're talking about this great comeback story. And all of a sudden I see a lot of, you know, black Twitter and a lot of black
Yeah.
people all talking about how much they love Tiger Woods. I'm like, can we make up our mind? Do we like this guy? Do we not like this guy? And I'm like, the comeback story from a sports perspective, going so many years without winning, yeah, I guess that's cool. But I'm like, we act like Tiger Woods was broke and he was, you know, eating sardines and crackers for the last 10 years until he won again. He still had hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars in endorsements, and he was still living a great life, much better than us, even though he hadn't won. So I'm like, what's the big deal? What do you think?
Well, you know, I'm glad you asked that question. You know, so I can enlighten you.
Thank you.
You know, and I know you probably won't address it, but in the company of say Elvis Presley and Babe Ruth and a few others, I think there was another black golfer that President Trump has awarded the Medal of Freedom to. I don't think
I saw that.
I don't think the comeback is from being broke or being destitute. It's that the man suffered a career-ending injury. He had his back fused together, which was one of the first times that surgery had been successfully approved.
I don't think that was the major focus. that
Well,
everybody
he
put
was
on
told he
it.
would never play golf again.
Okay. All right.
You know, from being humiliated through his addiction, through sex addiction or whatever. He went through a divorce, rehab. And so it was, no one ever said.
Addiction. That's what you do.
So
when
that's
you get
not
caught.
real?
And
So that's not real.
you're right. Let me because
Are
I don't
you
want to get in
sensitive?
trouble. I don't want to get in trouble.
What
I don't
in
want to
the
get in
world,
trouble by
man?
individuals that suffer from sex addiction.
Well,
but
somebody
it just seems like it just. I mean, I need to catch that. But it just seems like when particularly when celebrities get caught cheating and stuff, all of a sudden they have this sex
an
addiction and they
addiction.
have to go get treatment to try to get back in the good graces of the public. So I'm like,
Well,
whatever.
not only
I've never heard of a
well,
normal
well,
person
having
having a sex addiction and getting treated for it. But that's fine.
Because you know, because I like to consider myself and the people that I know normal. But you know, we don't diagnose those things. You know, and anyway, you know, old folks call it a white liver. You know, she got a white liver.
Hey,
he got a
man.
white liver.
I've never heard
You never
that.
heard that before?
No.
And we don't need to go into any detail
But
about that.
the point is that I'm making is that he
been talking to Jap?
overcame he overcame some very big obstacles. Like I said, he had a career-ending injury, which most people thought he would never be able to play golf again. And not only that, but like you said, not only black people, but white people, but everybody kind of, when he went through his downward spiral, turned their backs. He had the DUI. I think he had the DUI mugshot, so on and so forth.
Some guy had his face on that
On a
mugshot
t-shirt.
on the T-shirt.
Yeah, so
Slow down.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the price you paid.
But
You know what I'm saying?
through those
It is what it is.
adversities, I was glad to see that he was able to come back and take his seat again at the top of the Masters,
So you
the
think he
best golfer in the
persevered?
world.
You think he persevered?
Well, I think that it's an inspirational and an awesome story. You know, if anybody deserves to be there, I think his hard work, his dedication, earned him that seat. Black.
Okay.
In fact, I shared this story to our Facebook page, and one of our good sisters, I didn't get a chance to respond, but one of our good sisters.
You're not a man of the people.
I respond. One of our good sisters said, he's a Trumper. F him or something to that. And I didn't get a chance to respond to that. But I don't know what that means. But yeah, he did well. And I think that we should. He deserves what he got. Like I said, I mean, Elvis Presley, Babe Ruth.
Dude, we don't care nothing about that.
Another black golfer. They all received this award.
Who cares
by the way,
about this
President,
award?
who was the last person President Obama gave it to?
Who?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Really?
Yeah. She's done a lot.
Has she? Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, clearly she's done something.
44
if 44 gave it to her,
Yeah.
45 thinks he's done something. Okay, that's fine. Whatever you say, man. I was just curious, man. I was just curious your opinion on that, man.
Good deal.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I've got a lot of things.
I've got something to do.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. I said one thing.
A few things I want to talk
Not
about.
a few.
Two quick ones, and you can combine mine into 3 minutes.
If you show up on time,
The number
we
one.
could get some of your topics
Listen,
in.
man, the number one song, the top of the country charts.
I heard about that, man.
For a couple of weeks.
I heard about that.
One of our own, Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas X.
Yes.
Well, first off, if he's one of our own, you should be able to pronounce his name properly.
Well, I don't listen to trap music.
Well,
So I don't
it's
know
not
able to
trap because
pronounce
it was on the country.
Well, that's
music
the
chart.
conversation.
Okay.
Right. So he says that he feels his song was knocked off of number one of the Billboard charts because he was told that it wasn't country enough. Have you heard the song?
I've heard a snippet of it.
Enough to be able to have an intelligent conversation about it?
Enough to know that the reason that it was taken off of the country charts, which I think is inappropriate, it shouldn't have been taken off, but we know why it was taken off because it's got a hip-hop twist to it.
Okay.
And so I just want to give a little backstory on this guy real quick. He dropped out of college. He's out of Georgia. In December, he put the song on an app, and it went viral. And so then he produced the song, and he has like a story. So as soon as it started to peak on Billboard, and I've read all the issues surrounding it, but apparently in Nashville, of course, country headquarters, there's like a gatekeeper, so to speak, and you have to go through that gatekeeper. And his rise to fame and with this song was different, and they were like, no. And then he's a black kid.
It's
And
black
that's what
kid,
happened.
It's a hip-hop twist. We know what's going on
Song's
here.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't.
Is this similar? Let me ask you this.
It's a catchy song.
Is this similar to when Kirk Franklin started releasing kind of like the gospel music, but with the hip hop flavor? And the gospel people was like,
Yeah,
this
but
is
see, the
not
thing
really
is-
I think there's a line when you're talking about God, this is me personally. Who am I? But I think there's a line that people need to stay on when you're talking about gospel music and this hip hop mixture. I mean, if you're able to play your song in a hip hop club and people are dancing, doing the same dance moves and things that they would do to some hip hop song, then maybe you've crossed that line. You know what I'm saying?
Likely, right before coming in, man, I was watching a Facebook
But I mean,
video,
it's Plies'
was-
alter ego.
there was a
Kirk Franklin is
gangbanger.
Plies' alter ego. So
there was a
that's why-
gangbanger. There was a gangbanger. What do you call it? Stacking, flagging. When they do the little twisty fingers things. And I'm glad this is radio, so I wouldn't.
I'm glad that
throwing
no
up
one's
set.
catching what you're
Yeah.
doing with your hand.
But there was somebody.
looks
There was
terrible.
somebody throwing up sets to Old Town Road. So could the country music people be saying, well, if these folks can throw up sets to it, then it's really not country music?
No, that's
No,
that's-
there's
that's-
there's-
that's-
stretching it too
no,
far.
No,
and
that's ridiculous.
music crosses over
That's ridiculous.
all the time, and so they had no leg to stand on, and then he went and put Billy Ray Cyrus on it. So
And made it even.
and
And it's actually
that's
it's a good
number
song.
one. The remix is number one, and then his original version is number two now. So I wish him nothing but the best because he seems to be a good young man.
Black Power.
real quick.
Black Power.
Real quick.
You give us an opportunity in any genre of music, any athletics, we can rise to the top.
You done being a bully? For
Black
the microphone right now.
Power.
I've got 30 seconds.
Go ahead,
2
sir.
minutes. Oh, I've got 2 minutes. Okay.
No, 20 seconds.
Last couple of weeks, man. I guess I'm not gonna say the African American community. I'm gonna say our nation lost a great American, Nipsey Hussle. That's not a question yet, Jarvis. So
Okay.
just relax. And
Last time I
it's
checked,
amazing.
I had 5 chains on
It's
my neck.
it's amazing to see the outpouring of support from all across the nation, from politicians to ministers to all genres of music or whatever. Just honoring the great work that he did in the community.
Yeah.
Once again, a hell of a comeback story from
Yeah.
where he started to where he ended. Now, let's look at it this way. Been a big controversy, man, about Kodak Black and some remarks he made, and some remarks he made regarding Lauren London. Lauren London. And the question I'm trying to make is this: the remarks weren't actually being directed to anyone in particular. It was a group of guys, him and his friends, just kind of talking, chopping it up, blase, blase, blah. Someone recorded it and put it out there. And so now you've got a lot of people coming to, I guess, Nipsey's defense and Lauren's defense. So my question is, should we be held publicly accountable for things we say in private?
Well, first off, Kodak Black, man,
he knew it was live. He knew it was being recorded.
Kodak Black's got some issues.
So he intentionally said
it was live
with the intention.
Yeah.
I want the world to know.
Did.
He's got some issues. He needs some mentorship and some tutelage to kind of make sure he stays on the right track. But real quick on Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle, man. I didn't really ride around listening to Nipsey Hussle's music. I was a fan of the things he was doing in the community out there. And so it was really sad to see what happened to him, and then obviously by the hands of another black male, someone that he knew. It's real disturbing. So it's just, we've got to get to a point, man, where we cut this out, man. We've got to get to a point where we have a disagreement, and it's not go from 0 to 100, and I'm trying to kill you. It's okay to say, the hell with you, and we don't talk anymore, or we don't talk for a week, and then maybe we come back as men and resolve whatever the difference was. So I really, really pray that we get to a point where we cut all this foolishness out, and we don't all this toxic masculinity where you've got to kill something. I mean, that's final, man. It ain't no coming back from that. So, you kill somebody. I remember I was in the club one time and I bumped into a dude, and I turned around and I immediately said, apologize to him. And the dude's his eyes got big. He was like, he couldn't believe that I apologized to him because he's so used to somebody bumping into you, and it's all, what you doing, why you bumping into me, and it just escalates into a big issue. And I'm like, dog, I'm sorry, I bumped into you, or you stepped in my shoe. It's a shoe, dog. My bad. Right. We'll clean the shoe off. You know what I'm saying? So whatever that incident was, whatever it was, it didn't have to go to somebody getting shot and killed. It's ridiculous. So,
but the last part to the question though that I was going to ask is that now there are rappers or other entertainers insinuating that because of the remarks he made, violence could come to him.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous too.
Because you disrespected Nip or Nip's low lady. What did T.I. say? Expeditiously.
Yeah.
And then
it's got to stop.
Then the game gets involved.
Wrong is wrong.
And he's this.
Wrong is wrong.
So it's like because he said what he said, now the whole cycle.
Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. So he was wrong for saying the foolishness he said, but they're equally as wrong by saying because you said something foolish, it might be a green light on your life. Come on, man. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop that.
Where he wasn't supposed to go to New Orleans. Or something, but that was because of Lil Wayne.
I mean, that's the same thing we had with Big and Pop. Yeah. You say this. Next thing you know, we got two of the greatest rappers of all time dead way before their time because of words. Come on, man. I don't know, man.
Speaking of greatest, before we go, Beyonce. That's all I got.
God. Hey, no, for real. I don't listen to Beyonce's music other than the mainstream stuff that comes on, the radio or something like that, or in the bar or something. But I heard that she did this video thing she did.
Netflix.
Alabama A&M was on there.
Yeah, they were featured.
The curfew, 9 o'clock.
I don't know about that. All I care about is Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University made it on this movie. So I'm going to go watch the movie just to get to that part so I can see.
She said it was important, real quick, it was important to highlight us.
Yeah,
during Coachella, and I applaud her for that. Being the artist that she is, she could have done anything. So
HBCUs don't get enough credit for what they're doing.
I agree.
And real quick, as a person that works for the federal government, people, I encounter people from time to time that go to some of the bigger, predominantly white schools, and they make little jokes about A&M and stuff. And I say, well, hey man, me and you are working at the same area, and I know several people that are highly successful that came from HBCUs. So I think we need to be proud of HBCUs, and that's why I'm always happy when I see younger kids. You know, and there's nothing wrong with going to your Alabama, Auburn, whatever. It's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, don't just automatically discount A&M, Alabama State. Well, I ain't gonna say Alabama State.
Oakwood University.
A&M.
Oakwood University.
I ain't gonna say Oakwood either. I ain't gonna say Oakwood. No. Okay, we'll say Oakwood.
Are we
but
not
seriously,
HBCU?
Technically, but no.
Because we don't have a football
Oakwood is
team.
cool. I know a lot of people from Oakwood. No, seriously, but I just hope that we continue to support our HBCUs, and it's important that we support them once we graduate. And I know DT Green is going to get on to me if he hears this, because I've been telling him I'm going to come join the Alumni Association for about 2 months now. So I got to join it now since we're talking about it on the air. But anyway, Sam, I got to go because I got some partying to do. You good?
Good luck with that, man. I'm
good?
good. It's been a pleasure.
You're not going to come with me?
No, Jarvis.
Okay.
It's
Lachey,
Passion
thank you
Week,
for
man.
coming by again tonight, even though you were late. Sam and Lachey were late tonight, and when I called both of them, you know what they told me? I'll be there in 5 minutes. 15 minutes later, they
I
showed
brung
up.
the heat, though, Jarvis.
Classic,
You did
As
bring
always.
it.
classic
I
black
brung the heat.
people lie. 5 minutes. You've been listening to the Two Opinionated Brothers podcast with Smart Jarvis and Big Sam. Don't forget to like the Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Two Opinionated Brothers, and subscribe to our YouTube and SoundCloud at Two Opinionated Brothers.